Welcome to Our Portrait, Our Future, a new and upcoming ongoing series of the Leading the Way podcast. I'm Dr. Chris Huss, Assistant Superintendent of Operations.
And I'm Brian McGrath, Principal of Herbert Hoover Middle School. Together, we co-chair Edison's Portrait of a Graduate Pillar. This series is about bringing the Portrait of a Graduate to life through the authentic voices of our students and alumni.
We will share the stories that highlight the 6 attributes of an Edison graduate: emotional intelligence, critical thinking, resilience, effective communication, engaged citizenship, and lifelong learning.
Join us as we paint the portrait of our amazing students and alumni on Our Portrait, Our Future. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Our Portrait, Our Graduate. My name is Brian McGrath, and I'm the proud principal of Herbert Hoover Middle School. Today, we are proud to introduce you to 3 students from Edison Township Public Schools. To my left, we have Anuja Sharma. Anuja is a senior at J.P. Stevens. Welcome. To her left, we have Lovein Levin. Lovein is a senior at Edison High School. And to her left, we have Aarush Bolla, who is a junior at J.P. Stevens. Welcome. During this episode, we hope that our viewers get a better understanding of what the Portrait of a Graduate is here in Edison Township Public Schools. During our time together, we'll talk to our students about their experiences in our schools, their hopes for the future, and all of the amazing skills that they have learned here in Edison Township Public Schools. Anuja, as a senior, talk to me a little bit about how emotional intelligence has been part of your school experience here in Edison.
For sure. I feel like when you are a senior, you step into this role of a mentor to everyone below you, being 9th graders, 10th graders, and 11th graders. And it's so interesting because I look back and I feel like I was just in that position, and it's interesting to see how much I've learned. So I think emotional intelligence plays a role in how you present yourself as a mentor and how you learn to communicate with these kids younger than you that look up to you. Even if you're in a position where you feel like you don't know it all, I think being able to understand what will get through to them and how to effectively communicate with them is something really important.
Thank you. And that's been your experience in our schools to this point. As you think about all that you've learned and experienced in relation to emotional intelligence, talk to us a little bit about how that might apply as you begin your college career or your work life.
Definitely. I think in a school with so many students, it's such a blessing because you're talking to people from all walks of life, and not just all walks of life, but all different experiences. They were raised in so many different ways, right? So through that, you have to learn how to connect and communicate with each of them, and it may be different for every single person. But I think carrying that into the real world, I now know how to approach different types of personalities and different types of peoples of different backgrounds. You really learn how to communicate with people who may be different from you, may be similar from you.
So Anuja, the skills that you just described, did you ever see them on your report card?
Not necessarily, no.
Right? So part of the portrait of a graduate is taking those soft skills, those things that we know are critically important, both in school and beyond, and formalizing them to ensure that our teachers are well versed in how to teach them and how to recognize them and support them in the classroom, and also to ensure that all of our students can point directly to those skills at some point in school and then certainly following. So thank you for that very articulate description of how emotional intelligence has played a part of your school career and how it's going to connect to all the great things that come in the future for you. So thank you for that. Lovein Levin, currently a Edison High School student,
Yes.
A proud graduate of Herbert Hoover Middle School. We're thrilled to see you thriving. So thank you for being here. As you know, the portrait of a graduate consists of 6 characteristics. Those characteristics are varied and, as Anuja just described, not always visible on a report card. One of those super important skills that we here in Edison Township Public Schools agree is critically important is critical thinking and problem solving. Talk to us a little bit again about how you've been exposed to the skills necessary to critically analyze a problem and then to find a solution here in our school system.
Yes, of course. I think that critical thinking and problem solving, it kind of in a way for me ties in also with emotional intelligence, because from my own experiences here in Edison High, I do think that with some skills for emotional intelligence, such as patience and understanding for others, it kind of helps you with problem solving as well, because problem solving doesn't have to always be on, problem solving in math class, but also with your relationships here with teachers and other peers as well. And I think that having a good critical thinking and problem solving, I say skill or foundation in you, which I feel like I did grow and learn from freshman year to me to now as a senior,
Sure.
Is definitely really important and good to kind of grow on.
Perfect. So you're a senior. Where do you see yourself in a year?
In a year from now, when I graduate, I really hope to see myself somewhere in either New York or Boston in college. And
Wonderful.
starting
That's great.
to get into classes such as biology and chemistry to hopefully get into dentistry.
So when you envision yourself as a freshman in college and you think about the skills that you have to analyze problems, seek solutions, and then apply those solutions, how would you describe the experience you had here in preparing you for what's coming next?
I think that here at Edison High, or Edison in general, I was able to get a good understanding of how communication and working with others is really important in problem solving. And in doing so, I feel I have now a better foundation to move forward. And I could learn when I see myself back, like let's say again, a year now in college, talking with, again, mentors and those above me to work together when solving problems, because I do feel like more minds working together is another good way to solve problems as well. And it's something I learned here, that not all problem solving has to be by yourself, but with communications of others as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So the next portrait of a graduate characteristic that I'd like to talk about is being adaptive and being resilient. Aarush Bolla, who is a junior at J.P. Stevens, is going to talk to us a little bit about some experiences he's had here in Edison Township Public Schools, where you have had to apply the skill of being adaptive and resilient and recognizing how you need to change to be successful in a particular situation in the classroom. So, Aarush, if you could share that with us now, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, so the reality of many schools, like many school systems, is that, there's always going to be students who are high achieving, and in order to reach these high achieving goals, you have to persevere. But the reality is that life doesn't always turn out this way. It doesn't always hand you these goals. It's going to have these obstacles, and you're always going to have some sort of resilience in order to overcome these obstacles. And so, especially in my particular thing, I want to be in some sort of field that involves math. And with this being said, math isn't an easy subject by any means, and so I've always had difficulty at some points, whether it was last year with pre-calculus, now with calculus. It's always been challenging, but in order to overcome these obstacles, what I've had to do is I've had to change my strategies in order to approach these assessments or whatever it may be. And so that's the real approach I take when trying to overcome these challenges that I see within high school.
Thank you for that. Talk to us a little about where you see yourself in, say, 10 years. Now, I know that's a long forecast, but build out a picture of what you hope life looks like a decade from now, and how do you think the skills that you have now will evolve and help you in your life and your career?
Yeah, so rather than just saying I would want to be so-and-so job, so-and-so profession, I'd rather see myself in some sort of character. I want to see as someone who rather than trying to achieve a goal without any sort of obstacles in the way, I want to be someone who's able to persevere, someone who's able to tackle these challenges without seeing something and thinking, oh, I should switch paths. I want to be able to be someone who, say I want to be a mathematician or something of that sort. I don't want to solely think, oh, okay, I'm not doing so good here, I should just change paths. I want to be someone who recognizes there are going to be difficulties, and whether I should change my approach, whether I should do something else. I want to be that sort of character.
So academically, tell us about the time that you are most proud of recognizing the roadblock and going around it.
Yeah, so I think my biggest challenge was really my freshman year of high school. And it was this big step up from middle school where I was, in all of the glory. My grades were pretty okay because I guess it was pretty easy. But
Sure.
Then that real big step up into high school with all the teachers, all these large students. I'm the large student now, but with all the large students, it's really overwhelming. And so in terms of academics, I was really overwhelmed that first marking period. And so in order to overcome this, it was about realizing that, sure, there are large students, there are these, I would say strict teachers, but more like maybe stern teachers I'm seeing now, right, compared to middle school. And so it was about just me recognizing that I had these responsibilities to do. I had to, kind of really assume my responsibilities, just be able to encounter them with some sort of perseverance that would allow me to get these better grades later on in the marking periods, which I inevitably did. And I'm really proud of that because it was kind of a big step up in my character from this middle school kid who sometimes studied, most of the time was just playing games on his computer, to this guy who's responsible with his work, someone who was finally taking these tests seriously, and that really was a proud moment for me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Anuja, as a senior, you've had these 12 years here in Edison Township Public Schools, and your ability to communicate effectively, in large part, has had a significant impact on your degree of success in class and beyond. Talk to us a little bit about the characteristic of being an effective communicator and how you have evolved from when you first entered our school system to the amazing position you're now in.
Yeah, for sure. I think it would be easy to talk about this in an academic context or working with my peers or whatever that may be, but I think I would want to take the route of focusing on my relationships with my friends and my parents and even my sibling. And I think about how freshman year, conflict to me was really scary. If I was in conflict with someone or I was upset with someone, whatever it may be, I just couldn't find the right words to communicate it with them. And I would show it in different ways, whether that be the silent treatment or whether that be just ignoring them. And I think throughout my years in high school, I've kind of learned that at the end of the day, when you're approached with conflict, the best way to get through it is to realize that it's not it's not an argument between two people, but it's two people working together to fight the problem. And communication plays a huge role in tackling that, because I've realized that however angry I may be feeling or however sad I may be feeling, being able to effectively put it into words and tell the other person, hey, this is how I feel because of XYZ, how can we move forward? That is so much more effective than giving them the silent treatment or just not talking to them.
Thank you. Talk to us a little bit about how the teachers, the counselors, the administrators, elementary, middle, high school, helped you to develop this super mature understanding of effective communication and working through those points of conflict.
I think I have always had extremely understanding teachers. I'm born in Edison. I've gone here since kindergarten. Every single year I'm amazed by how my teachers, even if I think they're going to be upset about something, whether that be turned in homework late or I'm going to be absent, they're actually not. And they always tell me, they're like, at the end of the day, like, you're going to get sick, you're going to go on a family vacation, but the best thing you can do is come to me and tell me, and together we can find a way for you to make up that assessment or plan that homework ahead of time. And I think carrying what the values that my teachers have taught me into my everyday life is something that I've seen has helped me develop my communication a lot.
Thank you. Talk to us a little bit about how those skills that you just described are going to impact your future plans.
Well, in the future, like I touched on earlier, I know that I'm going to go to college, or I'm going to go to in the workforce, and there's going to be somebody that I disagree with or I don't get along with, whether that be my classmate or my boss, whoever it is.
Certainly.
And I think being able to communicate with them and talk to them and say, hey, we're going to butt heads, but we need to work together. How are we going to approach this? That is going to be so effective in helping me succeed in the workforce or college, rather than just burning bridges and saying, hey, we don't agree, so let's not talk, because I don't think that's an effective way to go about things.
Thank you. Lovein, you are a senior at SN High School. You also serve as a student representative for the Board of Education. Perfect transition into our next portrait of a graduate characteristic, which is being an engaged community member. Talk to us a little bit about how you manage those dual responsibilities of being a student, but also being a voice for your classmates with direct access to the Board of Education.
Yes, of course. So for me personally, I think that I'll talk for my high school career. Being an engaged community member has been something I definitely seen myself grow and do more for these past 4 years. And as, like, for example, joining in student council, for example, and as well as other clubs in our school, I've noticed that what makes a really good community member is not doing something for example, you're getting just hours and stuff, but to join all these clubs and sports and activities, to do stuff that you actually are interested in to help the community. And once I was able to make my own list of those things that my focuses are on, for example, the student council, and I play lacrosse and helping out different clubs for, like, with children in the younger elementary schools.
When do you sleep?
Late, but helping out younger children as well. I have my own list of things I like to help out in the community, and now when I have my time to do that, I see I put a lot of my focus into that, and it makes me feel like I'm actually giving back to something that I'm actually having passion for, instead of jotting down a list of things I want hours for and credits for, just to build a profile for myself.
So the folks who decided on the characteristics of a portrait of a graduate, during that process, the students, the teachers, the parents, the community members spent a lot of time talking about how we encourage students to really engage in being part of the changes that you want to see and that we think all of our students deserve. Talk to us a little bit about your experience in provoking others to become part of the change efforts and to become those engaged community members.
Yes, of course. I think that for me personally, when I talk to someone else about being more engaged, I have to, in a way, figure out their why and their passion behind it, so they can do their actual true and best effort into being an actual engaged community member. And I've noticed that, like, when I was doing activity fairs for school, and I would say, oh, we're student council, we do charities, and we do events to, raise awareness for things and raise money for charities and stuff. And I'd say ways we can do that. And when we pick out groups of people who have actual interests, I noticed that a lot of people will show up for that and truly work to their best. And I do think passion is a lot of it behind it. So because when you do something for a reason and for actual interest in it, there's a better end result and outcome in the end.
What's the one thing that you accomplished through your community engagement as a student in Edison Township Public Schools that you're most proud of?
I would say I'm proud of specifically for school, the school spirit that we've raised this year, because going based off past years, we're having a low school spirit at Edison High, and I feel like this year specifically, and I could quote even some assistant principals like Ms. Lofak, I've heard that from pep rallies and so forth, other events, we've had so much participation this year, and personally that makes me very happy because my freshman year, I remember having just a blast at joining high school because of how much school spirit was in the school, and to see like a full circle and now as a senior again, and hearing that outcome from other people, I'm proud to see people are now again engaging so much more, not just at school, but like in events that are even outside of school, which personally makes me very happy to see more engagement and activity from everyone.
So you heard it here first. Lovein Levin is personally responsible for raising the spirits here in Edison High School. So congratulations and thank you for that. Aarush, learning is not always linear, and to fully engage in this process, students have to be resourceful. Talk to us a little bit about the skills that you have acquired to be that resourceful learner as a student here in Edison Township Public Schools.
Yeah, so oftentimes students tend to think that they should be learning just for the sake of what they're doing at hand, whether it be, I guess I'll take the example of an essay because I had to write an essay today because I'm still a student. But, you know, for the sake of an essay, they'll say, oh, I should look at some current event, and they'll write about that, and they'll be like, so for the sake of it, I'm just going to learn about this and I'll get it done with. But that's not the proper way of learning, and it won't make you this resourceful type of person, because at that point you're just looking in this very myopic scope. But to be this resourceful type of learner, you have to be able to go outside your comfort zone. You have to be able to, you have this desire to learn, to enjoy the classes and the subjects that you may not like, and you have to be able to find those things within those subjects that, you know, may be appealing to you, and you have to be able to use that outside. And instead of doing things that, I guess, so-and-so waste your time, I guess maybe you have to try to spend that time looking outside the web, looking into textbooks and trying to develop your mindset, because this type of knowledge is going to be able to apply in everyday conversations as well, outside of just academics. It can help you in your personal growth as well. You know, when people grow up, they tend to, whether it be in corporate jobs, they tend to speak to people, and they call it leisure talk. And so this type of knowledge is going to benefit you in the long run. Whereas this, you know, this short-term knowledge that people tend to have as students, it won't really benefit them. And so this portrait of a graduate, this mindset of being a resourceful learner is really beneficial towards these people.
Thank you. Appreciate that. At the start of our conversation, before the camera and the microphones were on, we talked a little bit about the complex system of education that you are all students in, over 18,000 students. And we discussed the fact that the portrait of a graduate is essentially a goal. And that goal is really made to orient all of the folks within our system around the 6 characteristics that you all so eloquently described. If you had to boil down your understanding of the portrait of a graduate and what you think it would mean for students in our system and those in the future, in a few sentences, what would you say?
I would say that the portrait, I think for me it's difficult to put that into a few sentences because it looks different to every single student. I think that the portrait of a graduate is just a student's ability to grow from day 1 to day 500, right? And so to me, portrait of a graduate may look like being a better communicator, but to another student, portrait of a graduate looks like getting better at that math homework that they always struggled with. So I think I think Portrait of a Graduate is whatever area you are able to grow in. If you are able to show growth from day 1 to day 300 and then continue that growth and carry it with you into your everyday life, you have achieved this idea of the Portrait of a Graduate.
Thank you.
I think that the Portrait of a Graduate is a way for students to give their voice out and, like Anuja said, find out ways to be more of a community member, engage more, be adaptive, but also it kind of builds a foundation for you to take these skills out of just high school and use them, like we said, in college and eventually in your career as well. So it's like a building block to start now for a way stronger, or I'd rather say a successful future in the end.
Thank you.
Yeah, so to me, the Portrait of a Graduate seems like something that's innate with humans, but we don't necessarily bring it out unless we consciously think about it. And so in life, again, like I said before, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We don't know what we're going to do with life. We don't know what choices we're going to make, and we don't know what life's going to give back to us. And so I think that the life skills within this Portrait of a Graduate will allow our students to tackle any sort of conflicts they are presented with in a mature mindset and appropriate mindset.
I want to thank each of you for such thoughtful and articulate answers to our questions today. Our hope is that your contributions and our discussion helps everybody within our community to better understand what the Portrait of a Graduate is. If you had to describe the Portrait of a Graduate in one word, what would it be?
I would say growth.
Growth? Thank you.
I would say success.
Thank you.
I was going to say success as well, but I guess I'll say adaptability.
Thank you, Aarush. I would like to thank the three of you for what I think has been an amazing conversation that has helped us to understand what a Portrait of a Graduate is here in Edison Township Public Schools. Your answers were articulate. The experiences that you shared really highlight the amazing work that happens here in our school system. And I think anybody who views this or who knows you would confidently say that you have these 6 characteristics, and you are truly the Portrait of a Graduate of Edison Township Public Schools. Thank you. What's your hashtag?
Hashtag everything happens for a reason.
Awesome.
Okay.
Lovein, what's your hashtag?
A bit cliche, but hashtag loving the convo.
All right, thank you. And finally, Aarush, what's your hashtag?
Hashtag school is the best.
Awesome. Thank you. You guys are the best. We appreciate everything you did here. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Good night.